Applying for graduate school is a time-consuming, stressful, and monetary process. So I don't actually blame people who use agents, but having gone through it myself, you can do it on your own. You're smart. I did it on my own, and here I am giving you advice and giving you the morale. Even with all this morale I'm giving you, this process is very challenging. It will test you, it will stress you, it will drain you, it will drain your energy, it will drain your money. In this video, I'm going to share how I applied for graduate school in the US, how I got fully funded scholarship by getting a graduate teaching assistantship position, lessons I learned. Let's get right into the video. See, US schools are very expensive. People who are in the US find it difficult paying their own school fees, like as in they that they are citizens of this country. They find it difficult paying the fees. It's important for you to get funding for undergraduate students, for graduate students, and for PhD students. Before you even start your journey, the first most important thing is looking for schools that provide funding. Don't just think I want to apply for school and that's it. Though you could get school, you don't get funding, you can apply for loans to help you, then later you pay. But that is so stressful. And I'm grateful to God that I was able to get funding, because I have this philosophy that you are not supposed to do one thing all your life. At every stage of your life, you are supposed to have different careers. And knowing that, having worked as a midwife from 2019 till now, the midwifery had already given me the background and the foundation for me to transition to public health. I was contemplating, do I do it in the US or Canada or UK? I weigh the options and I weigh my prospects. I realized that US is my best bet. So I decided to apply for schools in the US, and this is how I did it, and this is how you can also do it. There are actually many factors that influence people's school choice. It could be the program you're choosing, it could be funding, it could be reputation of the school, it could also be opportunities in the states that the school is found in. Why do you want to go to school? What program do you want to do? So those are the questions you need to ask. After getting to know the course you want to do, most of the things become so easy, because not all schools offer the course you want to do. It's easier to just navigate straight to the schools that offer your program rather than just going through a whole list of schools. I have 200 list of schools that I saw on Telegram. I saved it. I can share it. Even with that 200 list of schools, my school is not part of it. What makes you think that there are so many schools in the US and you cannot go through all that? Sometimes the stage you want to go to is a 50-50 thing. I had a few states I wanted to go to, and though all those places had good schools, but where I could get funding was my state. Though the state was not on my list. It's important for you to know the state you want to go to, but it's also important for you to be open-minded and be flexible. Why? Because the places you want may not give you what you actually want. The reason why I want you to put that in mind is because sometimes after school, people want job prospect, right? And in some states, it's just difficult for you to get a job. So you have to move to another state. So yes, it's 50-50 when it comes to knowing the state you want to go to. When it comes to selecting your schools, there are a few things you need to know. One, does the school offer the program you want to pursue? Second, have high acceptance rates, around 70 or more. It can even be 65% or more. Does the school provide funding? Funding can be so many ways. It can be an assistantship, it can be fellowship, it can be scholarship. Does the school have a high graduation rate? Some schools, it's just so difficult for you to go through a school. And lastly, if the program you are pursuing is licensed program, like say nursing, teaching, medicine, courses that you need to be licensed for, does the school have high pass rates? Because you don't want to go to a school where they don't support you to pass your NCLEX or USMLE, like, you know, those things. You have to put those things in perspective when you're choosing a school. For accredited schools, I am doing a public health program, and I know that the CEPH is the organization that accredits public health. So to make my search easy, I would go to the CEPH website and look at the list of schools that they've accredited. It's a lot, but it makes my work easier. Or you can also go to Google and type schools in the US offering masters in public health. It will list schools for you, and it will provide a website that has also listed a lot of schools. But let me tell you, that search is very limited. Why? Because they'll only list the schools that are quite popular and a lot of international students go to. I tell you for a fact, for my school, if it wasn't to be my friend who was already in the school, I haven't heard about the school. Every time I do a Google search, it never pops up. This tells you that there are so many good schools that are hidden and they'll probably not pop up on Google. So when you do your research, you have to optimize all your chances. If you know a friend in the US, ask them, oh, what school are you in? Like, what schools can you recommend? Because that is what my friend Z mentioned. She was like, when she was going to go to the school, she asked all her friends in the US, and eventually she picked a school that she knew a friend was already in that school to help her navigate the school easily. And that is what I also did. After my whole long search, what I do is I check the school and I check if they offer my program. The thing is, I check for funding. I check for acceptance rate. If it doesn't meet all that, I cancel the school off my list. So that is what you're also going to do when you start searching for your school. If you want to go to those Ivy League schools like the Harvard, the Yale, the Johns Hopkins, and all those things, very competitive, and you feel like, yeah, I could get into the schools that have 5% acceptance rate. Good for you. Yes, I'm very competitive, but then sometimes I don't want to hustle. If you are like me and you feel like, Charlie, I just want to get into a good school with good funding, you check for high acceptance rate, then you check for funding. If the school doesn't have funding, my dear, don't contemplate. Don't think, don't overthink it. Cancel it. While searching for the schools, know the year you want to go to. Don't be in a rush. I started searching for my school in 2023, November, December, thereabout, because I said to myself, before December of 2024, I have to leave Ghana. But when I started with my research and I realized that, okay, I was waiting for some documents that were supposed to come from high school to apply for fall of 2024. Because the documents delayed, I was flexible enough to move from fall to spring. So be very flexible. Know the season you want to go to school and then the deadlines. When you want to go for fall, fall's deadlines are always second week of February. If you want to go for fall, you have to start preparing the previous year, October, November, December. Those are the times you have to start putting in your application. If you want to go for spring of next year, the spring of 2026, this is the time you have to start preparing your documents for spring of next year. How do you prepare for your school? Let's say you've actually done your search, or you've selected a few schools. So if you don't have the money and you don't want to spend so much money, I put all my eggs in one basket. I shortlisted to one school, which is my school, and I put in an application. They will tell you don't put all your eggs in one basket, but I did. It's not a bad idea, yes. But did I do it? Yes. Because I knew God was on my side. I had so much faith in God and so much faith that everything was going to work out. That doesn't mean you should also do the same. The maximum that I feel like you should apply to is 3. Maximum, because each application could be like $50 or more depending on the school. So 3 is $150, and seeing the exchange rate, anything above that is too much for. At the end of the day, it's just one school you're going to. So why they need to apply for so many schools? Well, take my advice with a grain of salt. You now check what the school wants. What I did to also shortlist was schools that were demanding for IELTS, I crossed them off. Schools that were demanding for test scores, I crossed them off. You're not ready to write IELTS and the GRE and all those things, you can add it to your shortlisting. Sometimes your desired school can be 6 or 3. And how I still shortlist with those ones is I go through the curriculum. Does the curriculum talk to me? I'm someone who actually likes to check curriculum when applying for schools. I just don't want to be in a program where I hate the courses that I'm being taught. The more I keep shortlisting, and eventually I end up with probably 1 or 2 or maybe 3. If it is 3, I still shortlist to where the school is the state cool enough for me. If the state is not good, I take it off. I am not in an undergraduate program, so I cannot talk for undergraduate or PhD program. I am in a master's program. That's why I can confidently talk for a master's program. The documents you need for a master's program, 1 is statement of purpose. Why are you applying for that program? Why a master's program? What will the program do for you? That is what a statement of purpose is. Resume. Your CV should highlight everything you've ever done. See, in my CV and my SOP, I highlighted my career as a midwife, my bachelor's project work, me as a Miss Tourism Ghana and Miss International Ghana. Like what I would use this program for in my future. Any little thing I did, I am in a group in church that we do health screenings and health education programs. I put it in my CV. Whatever thing that is relevant to the program, put it in your statement of purpose and your CV. You have to exaggerate yourself. If you do not exaggerate yourself, you just miss so many things. I'm not saying you should be proud. I'm not saying you should be arrogant and boastful, but then when the need be, you have to make yourself big. Next thing you need to do, your recommendation letter. Most schools actually would ask you to provide 3 recommendation letters. Where are you going to get them from? You can get 2 from workplace and 1 from school, or 2 from school and 1 from workplace. For me, I eventually had to get 4 recommendation letters because though 3 were for my application, when I applied for my funding, as in the graduate teaching assistantship position, I had to provide another recommendation letter that highlighted my teaching skills. When you apply for admission, you apply for assistantship position and also maybe for scholarship. But some schools, you need to apply that differently. For my school, I placed in the application, it was for merit scholarship, but I had to put in another application for the assistantship position. Read the school's website carefully. If you need to put in another application for the assistantship position and for scholarship, know that and do so, and look at the requirement. The next thing you need to do aside the recommendation letter is get your bank statements, because some schools would not ask for bank statements until you get admission, and then they tell you to provide your bank statements before they give you your I-20. Some schools would ask you to provide your bank statements during the application process, because this is what happened to me. Because initially when I put in my application, it only asked for my statement of purpose, my CV, the recommendation letter, and the recommendation letter I had to upload it myself. But a week after, platform changed, and then they were asking for a recommendation letter, which I cannot upload anymore. It has to come directly from the people that were recommending me. So they are the ones who can upload their letter, and they were asking for my bank statement. The final thing you need to prepare is your evaluation. In the US, there are organizations that actually helps with evaluating your credentials to see if it is equivalent to US schooling. WES is very common and is widely used in almost all the universities. But aside WES, there are other ones that you could use. We have SPANTRA, International Education Evaluation, which is IEE, and then we have Global Credential. For me, I use IEE because one, my school had discounts for SPANTRA and IEE. When I checked, IEE was $135, SPANTRA was $140. But I hadn't heard about IEE before, so I decided to go for SPANTRA. But when I checked SPANTRA's requirements on how to send your documents and all that, it was stressing me out. I was like, hey, please. I went to IEE, I checked their requirements. Their requirements were so simple. Let your school send emails of whatever they have. And that was it. The challenges you might experience along the way is your schools sending their document. It took forever for my schools to send documents. I had to pay so much money, calling, dying. It's not easy in this Accra here. What I can tell you is that after shortlisting your school, look at the organizations that they want you to use to evaluate your credentials, and then you start doing that way before, because those things can waste time. Not from the evaluation per se, but from your schools sending those documents. I suggest put in the application. Then the next most important thing, whilst you're working on your statement of purpose and your CV and the recommendation letter, evaluate your credentials while doing the other things. Don't do it one at a time. Just do everything at the same time. Before I started this process on my own, I spoke to two agents. One was requesting for $2,000. One was requesting for $6,000. That was when I said, hey, I can do this on my own. And if you don't want to go through that stress, you can let agents do it for you. But this video is to teach you how to do it on your own without an agent. What you need to know is that there are some schools that they do their own evaluation. You don't need to go through a third-party evaluation. All you have to do is to ensure that you send your documents to the school themselves, and they will do the evaluation for you. But please clarify with the school. Don't just assume that the school does their own evaluation. Not every school. I know for some schools in Illinois, they do, and I think California, they do their own evaluation. You don't need to take it to a third party. But generally, most schools actually need a third party for them to do evaluation. You need to have the deadline in mind. The fact that you put in an application doesn't mean everything is all good until the last document is ticked on your dashboard and not fully on your application. I put in my application on 30th of May. The deadline was September 2024. I sent my last document on the 26th of July. That was when they told me that your application has been fully done. You have to have a visa card. If you do not have a visa card, you cannot apply. If you do not have a visa card, you can send the money to someone and the person could use their visa card to apply for you. After that, we have a waiting period. Some schools, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to respond. Other schools, it takes 2 to 3 weeks to respond. It took me 8 weeks. I was done with my application 6th of July, and the deadline was, I think, September. I heard from them 11th of October. Some people, within 2 weeks, they've heard from the school, they've started their application for visa. During the wait time, that is when you also have to apply for funding. I mentioned earlier, some schools that when you put in an application, it covers for assistantship position and also for scholarship. But for my school, it only covered for merit scholarship. But for the assistantship position, I had to apply differently. You need to apply to your department, but you are not only limited to your department. You can apply to other departments. If you get it, you get it. For me, I applied to my department, public health department, I applied to nursing department, I applied to research department, I applied to like 6 departments. And just that, they will prioritize those who applied to that course first before you. Do you get it? August is when I put in an application for my funding. I was lying down one afternoon and I had something tell me that go and check the portal to see if it's opened. See, the Holy Spirit has just been talking to me all of the year. Don't sleep on the Holy Spirit. A tiny voice that convicts you. Lo and behold, the portal was open for spring 2025, and when I put in an application, they asked me to submit my CV and a recommendation letter. And this is when I had to go back to my school to do another recommendation letter to highlight my teaching skills, because for the department I was applying to, it was just a teaching assistant, and I wasn't confident about teaching. Being in the role, I realized that look, everybody can teach. Though my role is a teaching position, I do have a teaching class I need to teach. I do have administrative tasks I need to do, and I also have research things to say that until you get into the role, you don't really necessarily know what you're going to do in the role until you get into the role. So don't overthink it. So just apply for it. I put in the application, and then they told me I will hear from them all in the waiting season. If you can email 1 or 2 professors, please do, because whilst I was waiting, I went through the faculty and I emailed 2 of the professors. One replied to me, was it helpful for me to get a graduate teaching assistantship? We would never know. But then again, it's important for you to at least email 2 professors in the department, share your excitement in coming to the program, highlight your skills, and if you want to work with them, went through your articles or I went through your area of expertise. I feel like your area of expertise aligns with my area of interest, this and that and that. Is there a way that when you're doing your research programs or things, chip me in or something? Maybe you hear back from the school, you've been admitted. Quickly email them for your I-20. I had to take this advice the hard way. Do not hesitate to email the school with whatever it is, because one thing I have realized is that it's not a big deal. Emailing them, they're happy to help. It's not a bother. Do not hold back. If you do not understand something, email the school, give you the feedback. So the teaching assistantship too, if you see that you've gotten your admission and it's delaying, do not hesitate to email the department. Because for me, that's what happened. I kept emailing the department. They mentioned how they haven't sat down to make a decision yet. 2 weeks came to pass. I emailed them again. They're like, oh, they've been busy and they've not made any decision yet. I reached out to my graduate advisor and I mentioned my graduate advisor, is there anything I need to know about selecting my courses and all that? And luckily, my graduate advisor was also someone who could make a decision on my assistantship position. So she scheduled an interview, online interview, and we had a very good chat and got my assistantship. So don't hold back in emailing people that you know they can really help you in your graduate school journey. The lessons learned through this program, that you, first of all, as all, you need a community if you're going to do this on your own without an agent. If you do not have a community, you would be stressed. Throughout the process, I had people tell me, oh, do this rather, do this. If you are using an agent, please be involved in it. Be flexible. If the year you want to go is not suitable for you, be flexible. Always be on time. Manage those deadlines. Be on time, be proactive, be on top of your game. Speak to the right people, but not to everybody. And keep it to yourself. Know how to email people, how to email professors, know how to email your graduate advisors, the school, the international office. So it has been a very fulfilling journey for me, and I'm glad to share this journey with you. I also hope that you would embark on this journey and also have a fruitful end. And if you have any other questions that probably I didn't mention in this video, you can leave it in the comment section and I'll gladly reply you. Finally, if you haven't watched my F1 journey on how I secured the interview date, I'll link the video up here. Do watch it, and I hope I see you in my next video. Bye.